My name is James Olivier. I am a sophomore here at the University of Maine. I compete in track and field and cross country, and I'm studying kinesiology exercise science with a minor in psychology. I was born and raised in Augusta, Maine. I went to Coney High School. I went to Farrington Elementary School. I was always somewhat into running, all the way back into elementary school during the mile run that we had to do for the fitness testing. I actually still hold my elementary school's mile run record. I found that out last year. But yeah, growing up in that area, my mom, super into soccer. She played collegiately and she played on the national team for her age group. She was a goalkeeper, so obviously soccer ran in my family's veins. My sisters all played, and I was mostly focused on that for most of my upbringing. And I played a smackling of other sports, I did baseball. I was fairly decent at candlepin bowling for a little while. I went to the state championship when I was like 12. I played basketball, and I also did football for 2 years before I really got into soccer. So I had just kind of real diverse introduction to sports, and then it kind of all whittled down into just focusing. My mom was a soccer coach for several years, and she did track in high school. Both my sisters did track in high school. One of my sisters had actually an offer to come play soccer here at UMaine, and she actually ended up coming here. Didn't end up playing soccer due to an injury she had. But athletics was just massive, massive, massive in my family. And it was something that I just couldn't really get away from, and it wasn't something that I wanted to get away from. So just having that around me is definitely something that I believe helped. For a long time, I wanted to go to Merrimack to play soccer, but then that kind of faded away as I got injured and kind of fell out of soccer. I still enjoy soccer. I would still love to play soccer, but not as to the same competitive level as I was before. Definitely track has taken that spot in my heart. So it definitely started at the Class B state championship, which I wasn't competing in because of that wrist injury. Back in soccer. My girlfriend, Kaylee Porter, who competes here, was going to talk to him, and I was there watching her compete, and then I went up and talked to Coach Mark at the same time, and basically kind of sold myself to him as look, I am coming to UMaine for academics. This is my plan. I would love to be on your team if there's a spot for me. And then I laid out for him that indoor season, I had run my first sub-5 mile, which was 4:47. I had been running in the low 52s for an indoor 400. I had an outdoor 400 PR of 51.7 as a junior. And these were the stats I was bringing up to him, which looking at that is not Division I runner material. Those numbers do not equal Division I runner. But he was like, maybe I'll be in touch with you, and gave me kind of that mysterium of maybe you can come here and compete for me. Then later that year, he ended up coming to a couple of my outdoor track meets after we had corresponded a couple times through email. And I had been winning the 400 consistently, and then I was going to the state championship for the 400, seeded pretty well. So I was seeing success in the 400, and I was improving still, and that's what he was excited to see. And then as soon as the 400 was over with the state championship, me and my team went to the New England championship for the 4x800 meter. So I was already doing the 800, just only in the relay. So I was only doing the 4x8 in the relay, and I was splitting under 205, but not under 2. So I was in that sweet spot of you're a decent 800 runner. Probably just due to my 400 speed. So he took that and he basically told me that if I wanted to have a spot on the track team, I had to run on the cross country team, which was probably the worst news I'd ever heard, because I was not a distance runner by any means at that time. The longest run I think I'd ever done up to that point was a road race 5K. And these races were 8K, which is 2 more miles, just about 2 more miles. So just hearing that was a shock, and it was something that once he sent me the training, I just followed it religiously. And every day I was going out for 6-mile runs and doing the hill repeats on weekends and doing the tempos on Thursdays. Just every single workout, I was not missing any of them. I was doing them as hard as I could do. Like in my sprinter brain, it was you go as hard as you can for as long as you can, and that's how you get better. And that's something that I've come to learn is not necessarily always what you do. It's sometimes those recovery days are important. And that's definitely some maturity that I've learned through Coach Mark, that every bit of training, no matter how fast it is always important.
The August All-Star Open House event is here at Quirk Chevrolet in Bangor. Save $10,475 and buy the 2019 Silverado All-Star Crew Cab for $38,995 or get 20% off all double cab Silverados.
It's your Silverado. Find it at Quirk Chevrolet.
What motivates us at Casella?
I want to help our customers recycle as much as possible.
Because I care about the environment and how our company impacts our towns.
And at Casella Organics, we find new uses for all sorts of materials.
It's hard work.
But I'm helping people every day.
And that makes me feel like part of the community.
A community I care about. So I do everything I can to sustain the resources of our environment.
Casella, dependable, caring people, part of your community.
Whether you're building a home, garage, or redoing a kitchen, successful projects start with good planning. For help designing and drafting your next project, talk to the helpful sales staff at Hammond Lumber Company. If you need them to, a Hammond sales rep can come out to your home or job site to see what you have in mind. Hammond's Home Planning Center or Kitchen, Bath, and Flooring Center will turn your ideas into accurate drawings and help you prepare a list of materials you'll need. Delivery is free within striking distance of any Hammond location. Learn more at hammondlumber.com.
The August All-Star Open House event is here at Quirk Chevrolet in Bangor. Save $10,475 and buy the 2019 Silverado All-Star Crew Cab for $38,995 or get 20% off all double cab Silverados.
It's your Silverado. Find it at Quirk Chevrolet.
So yeah, he took me through cross country and then into the indoor season. And my first open 800 meter, I broke 2. I ran 157, and that was, I screamed with joy as I ran 157 at Dartmouth, and just ecstatic that I had broken 2. And I was like, there's no way that I break 2 just off the bat like that. And then progressively through the season, I was shaving off a bit of time here, a bit of time there, until the IC4As, where I set the school record at 150.16. So that race is definitely a huge standout in my mind. I was seated pretty well in the conference. I had finished 4th at the conference finals a couple weeks prior. So I knew that I was a strong 800 runner. And then the guy who had won the conference championship was lined up right next to me in the chute for the 800. And I was like, okay, I don't care how fast he goes out, I'm going to stay with him. And that was the true test the steel moment of my abilities. And he goes out and we go out at a low 52-second 400, which is very close to my 400 PR. And that was the craziest thing looking back. That's just not in the wheelhouse of what I should have done in a race. If you look at an 800 meter textbook, that's not how you run it. But it ended up working out, and I crossed the line. I looked over at the clock, and then my mom was at the wall of the BU track, and I turned to her and I just go 150, because that's the time. And I was I gave her a I don't know, an I don't know shrug. And then I bent over, I keeled over, and then everyone's screaming around, and I ended up coming in 3rd in that prelim heat, and I qualified for the IC4A final. But after the race, I had no idea that I had broken the school record, and I walked up to talk to Mark, and he was like, so how's a new school record feel? And I was like, oh, what? I didn't know that I broke the school record. I just knew that I ran really fast. So I was talking to him, I was like, well, what do we do from here? And he was talking to me about, immediately the first thing he said was the U20 national championship. He was like, I think you've made the standard for the national championship, and that's something that we can focus on from here.
What motivates us at Casella?
I want to help our customers recycle as much as possible.
because I care about the environment and how our company impacts our towns.
And at Casella Organics, we find new uses for all sorts of materials.
It's hard work.
But I'm helping people every day.
And that makes me feel like part of the community.
A community I care about. So I do everything I can to sustain the resources of our environment.
Casella, dependable, caring people, part of your community.
Do you know your Maine dairy farmers? Chances are we're a lot like you. We are parents, grandparents. We are small business owners. We are a part of our communities. We are your neighbors. We are undeniably dairy.
Here at T-Spark of Revolution and Patriots are more than a team, they're the foundation of our family tree. Some call it Yankee Land, others call it New England, we call it home. It's not for everybody, but for the ones willing to create a way through, there's a reward. You can't show it off, it's not a trophy, it's a feeling. It's a sense of belonging, it's who we are and what we stand for. We are Fisher Nation.
This cinnamon sugar pumpkin latte looks amazing.
Yeah, with this caramel drizzle, it's so good.
Yeah, I wish I were this creative.
Oh, I'm not that creative.
Thanks. Oh, wow. Did you just carve this?
I did, yeah.
That is so cool. Did you make one for me?
Oh. It got busy.
Treat yourself to a new cinnamon sugar pumpkin signature latte. It's all things pumpkin at Dunkin'. America runs on Dunkin'.
I definitely was like sitting in my room that night and I was like, maybe I can do this. But I didn't want to like pollute my mind with that. For the most part during that championship, I had a great showing in the prelim. I ran that really tactically and smart. And then going into the final, I just didn't want to be bogged down with expectations. So I approached that race just as loose as I possibly could. I knew that top 6 in that heat get a medal just for being there. You get the top 3 get the gold, silver, bronze, and then the next 3 get a participation medal for coming in the top 6, and it's like the All-American honors. So I was like coming in seated 4th on time, and I was like, I just want to get one of those medals. I just want to beat 2 people, get one of those medals. And that was the only expectation I had on myself. So I went through everything that Mark told me to do with mental preparation and just visualization of the race, just thinking of what I would do in every situation. I spent several hours the morning before the race doing that. I meditated before I left the hotel. I was hydrating. I did just about everything I could pre-race. Everything I could do pre-race, I did right. On that day. And I got to the venue and I just focused on keeping myself calm, just treating it like it was any other race. I talked to one of the main stars, Isaiah Harris, who ran for Penn State. Now he's a professional 800-meter runner. I talked to him through Instagram and I was like, this is my first like crazy race. Like, I know that you've done this before. Like, what do I need to do? And he just gave me some advice that was, you just need to run it like it's any other 800 meter. It's still 800 meters. You're gonna run the same distance. Like, you've done that how many times before? It's gonna be the same thing every time. So with that like clarity on my conscience, I was just prepared to go out and run. And that's kind of what I did, is I made decisions and I didn't second guess them. I know that there were so many pictures on like the USATF Instagram, the Runner's Space Instagram. Everybody loved that reaction. I had my hands over my face. I was like almost at tears. I like walked around for a second. Darius Kipyego had finished second. We turned, we hugged, we took pictures. And then I just collapsed to the ground and I was like, I didn't even win a state title. And that's just like, it was like euphoria is the feeling. It was completely surreal. I didn't have anything that led up to that. Like I had like been okay in high school and then I had broken a school record. Like, that's cool. Like, I'm running good, and then national champion. It's just like, there's a huge discrepancy in like what a school record is versus what a national title means. The coolest, I said this before, is just seeing that singlet was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Because like looking at like the 2016 Olympics, all those Olympians are wearing the same singlet, and it's like competing under the same flag, and just showing what I can do in this singlet for this team, and like showing up against all these other countries and all these other national champions, essentially is who I'm racing. I'm racing other national champions and other national runner-ups. So just like being in that pool of talent was just completely humbling, and just being able to see those people compete and being able to. So I've had a lot of people come up to me and tell me that I have so much time left. But if you really look at it, I'm 25% through my college career. Unless I take a 5th year, then I'm 20% through. That's still, that's a good portion of my college career that's gone. And there's people who are saying, just wait, you can have time, you can go to the NCAAs your senior year, like pushing off these goals. And I want to set these goals for this season. Like I want to go to the NCAAs this season. I want to go indoor and outdoor. I want to do both. And that, it sounds like another ridiculous, impossible standard to set for myself. But coming in, when Mark Leck told me I was going to run 152, I thought that was ridiculous. Like I was like, there's a kid who I raced in high school who went from 154 to 151, and I thought that was like the most impossible jump. Like he had done the impossible already. And having done that last year, it makes my new standards and my new goals that we have set for this season obtainable. It makes them feel more obtainable. So I'm definitely gonna stay focused. I'm not gonna let any of my successes kind of like let me ride a wave off those successes. I wanna continue to earn every bit of success I earn from here. So that is just focusing on workouts and trusting the process. And Mark has a plan and he has goals for me, and I definitely trust him more than I trust myself as an athlete. So I'm definitely going to try and keep the momentum going.
My goodness, what a beautiful day. How about this late summer in Maine? I don't know if it gets any better. You know, we had a cross-country meet today, running perfect weather. Watched our field hockey team beat Boston University 2-1 today. That puts a smile on all our faces, and now we get a chance to celebrate tonight. And so I'd like to welcome you to the University of Maine's annual Hall of Fame celebration. I'm Director of Athletics Ken Ralph, and I'm going to serve as your guide for the remainder of the evening. Tonight gives us a chance to come together as a community and to celebrate the best, brightest, and most accomplished of those chosen few who have earned the honor to wear the Maine colors. Before we begin our celebration, I'd like to take a moment to thank the M Club for their efforts in making this evening a reality.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty surreal. I was just, I guess, honored and pretty excited to have that acknowledgement and recognition, and I think it's been great to have an excuse to come back here because it's a far trip for me, so any excuse to come back, and this is an extra special event to come back for. So yeah, I guess just exciting is probably the best word to use.
Shocked, overwhelmed, pretty excited, blown away. That pretty much encompasses how I felt. The AD called, so that was kind of surprising. I had no idea why he was calling, and terrific news.
The University of Maine gave me everything. I'm on the board for the University of Maine and on the board of directors for the M Club. And the reason I joined that, Woody Carville asked me to join, and it was a way for me to give back. And I can't give back enough for how much they gave me. So when I heard, and I know they had quite a few different people that are going in, and different teams that have accomplished things through the years. So hearing that the 65 team, and loving those guys the way I do, and have through the years, we've stayed in touch with each other. A lot of us go to games together. We meet at the University of Maine at the tailgates, and just getting the word was hard. My mother lives with me, 96 years old. And she was the first person. I said, Mom, where did you hear this? So very, very happy, very proud.
What a wonderful celebration, such a happy event, and so exciting to be here with all of you tonight. Really thrilled that we have an incredible turnout to honor our wonderful inductees. And so I'm delighted to be able to congratulate you tonight. Also want to say, in general, I've been here a year now as the president of the University of Maine. I've come to understand how central Black Bear athletics is to our family at the University of Maine, to the future of the University of Maine, and I just want to thank you all. For what all of you have done, what you continue to do, to be the loyal supporters, fans, promoters, participants in our wonderful Black Bear athletics family. It is also critical, of course, for the state of Maine and even beyond. And so I thank you for all that you've done, all that you continue to do, and want you to understand that Division I athletics here at the University of Maine has my full support, and I'm thrilled to be learning how to be a great fan. Thank you.
Yeah, it's always the people. You know, it's not the plays made on the field or the points that have tallied up at the end of the year or anything. It's always the people and the relationships, and I think I was just so blessed, and I feel so grateful to have met so many amazing friends that I still keep in touch with from all around the world, and it's truly been the people that stand out in my relationships.
It's a blur. I think what probably stands out the most are the time spent with the guys on the team, you know, from the locker room to the bus trips. Some pretty big and exciting last-minute wins, stuff like that. Pretty special.
First airplane ride, going down to Tampa to play University of Tampa in 1965. And then again flying down to Orlando to play in the Tangerine Bowl, bring great memories. And then I was a junior that year. My senior year was Westy's last year. Harold Weston was probably one of the best coaches that ever came to the University of Maine. And he's like a father figure to many of us. But that was his last year, 1966. And he had the best year he ever had was 1965. In 1966, we lost 3 games by field goals, made a big difference in the season. But I remember one particular game, the last game of my season, my senior year, we played against Vermont, and Vermont was picked to beat us. And they also said that they were going to do a lot better job at the Tangerine Bowl than we did the year before. That was what Walter Abbott told us, and then he walked out of the room. Well, we went out there, and when we beat them, it was like 51-6. And I caught a touchdown as a tackle in that game, tackle eligible. And there was a picture in the Bangor Daily News of that touchdown. So I think back of that particular time. But just the friendships that I made, the friendships that have lasted. I decided to go into coaching because of my experience at the University of Maine, taught and coached for 35 years, and loved every minute of it. And the University of Maine, I owe everything to the University of Maine. And I got to say, Brewer High School, I had a guy named Larry Mahaney for a coach. And Larry Mahaney's got Larry Mahaney Diamond up here. So I was fortunate the people that I had direct in my life, and I got a lot of respect for coaches, the time they put in, and feel like I was just, I was a small part of being very fortunate in 1965 to be part of that team. It's just the luck of the draw, and I was fortunate to be on that team.
I think discipline was a big part of it. The structure and the discipline that was being demanded is something that becomes a part of you, I think. And I think it's helped me in my post-UMaine life, particularly my professional life.
This is one of the biggest events that I have been a part of, and I've seen a lot of the guys. One of the guys that I saw was a starting halfback, Frank Haney, on that 65 team. I hadn't seen him since 1966 when he graduated. So this is a big deal for all these guys, and just seeing the results here of these people being drawn back to the university, and all I've heard is the pride they've got that they're going to have a plaque put up at the university. Long after they're gone, there's still going to be a picture of that 1965 team. And now the university and what they've done to get ready for this event, the time they've put in, the M Club and all the work that they've done. It makes me proud, and it shows me that the whole university, a lot of it has to do with teamwork and working together.
For the record.
Get this one thing clear.
This copyrighted telecast is the property of Black Bear Sports Properties, LLC, under rights granted by the University of Maine. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, reproduction, or other dissemination or use of this telecast, or any part of it without the express written consent of Black Bear Sports Properties, LLC, is prohibited.